Hey guys, it's Eric, owner of Farpoint Farms, and today I'd like to do my first review of a chemical. Isn't that interesting? A chemical. Yeah, I've been a mechanic for many years, and we see people who come in and they'll have a can of this or a can of that they want us to add to their oil change or add to their fuel during a service, and we don't have a problem doing that. I don't have a problem doing that. A lot of those chemicals can help. I've never seen one that can hurt other than maybe an engine purge or engine clean out. If your engine is so far gone that you're considering you running engine purge through it, usually you're damaging the engine. It creates so much crud that it clogs up the screen. But enough about that. Today I wanted to talk to you about one product that I do use myself. I've been using it since about 1988, and the product's been around since the 20s, and that is Marvel Mystery Oil. It's a lightweight multi-purpose oil. As you can see, this can here, probably one of the first cans I bought, I'd say early 80s or mid 80s. And it calls itself a top cylinder lubricant. And it's you add this to your gas and your oil. Mostly on the things I use it for, which is all my cars, I put about 8 ounces of it into a tank of gas. It's about 4 ounces for 10 gallons, so most of my cars are either 10 or 20 gallon tanks, so 4 or 8 ounces depending on the car. And I put that in there usually right before I fill up, add it to it, and then that swishes it around, gets it mixed in. What it does, well, it's just a lubricant, top-end lubricant. It's a little bit of help. It's kind of like running 2-stroke oil in a 4-stroke. Yeah, it would smoke if you ran it to the numbers that you would normally run a 2-stroke oil, but a little bit wouldn't hurt, right? Anyway, that's what Marvel does. It's an additive that's a little bit of a lubricant. It's also a bit of a cleaner. If you run Marvel Mystery Oil in your oil, and you can do that. You can run, let's say you have a 5-quart system. If you leave it at 4 quarts and add a quart of Marvel Mystery Oil, that's going to act as a lubricant, really thin lubricant. It's probably going to change the viscosity of your oil if you ran that much of it. But it does act as an engine cleaner, not as aggressive as something like an engine purge or a real heavy-duty engine cleaner, which is actually a good thing. You don't want to knock all that crud loose because you're going to end up clogging the screen and ruining your engine. But this stuff, and I used this personally back in the late 80s on a car that I purchased that had not been maintained. It was caked up with sludge. And so what I would do is I would run the car with clean oil, and right about 500, maybe 700 miles before the next oil change, I would add half a quart of Marvel to the oil. And I found that, when I got done with that 500 miles or so and drained the oil, man, a ton of that crud came out, and that was great. So what I did the next time was I ran the car on a 2,000-mile oil change, just conventional oil. But again, at the 500-mile marker, before being due again, I added the other half of that quart and let it run with that again. And lo and behold, more crud came out. By the time I had gotten to the third oil change, I could look down through the valve cover and see that it was clean. And that's kind of like proof, I'm not a scientist and I'm not doing anything scientifically, but in my own opinion, that was all I needed to know that Marvel Mystery Oil worked for me. Will it work for you? Hopefully. Yeah, if you've got a problem like a sticking lifter, where you hear that little tick, 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 especially when cold, Marvel Mystery Oil may be the cure for that. You could run a half a quart, or they claim even up to a quart, for every 5 quarts you put in your car. I don't know that I would run it the full 5,000 miles if that's how long you're going on your oil changes, but I would certainly run it, maybe the last 700 or 800 miles before an oil change. So what you would do there is if your car burns a little, just top it back off with Marvel towards the end of your oil change interval. If not, you can always drain a little bit out and then replace it with Marvel Mystery Oil. But it had pretty good results for me. Cleaned out, the galleyways, cleaned out to the rocker box, which, was really crudted up on that car and made that car last a long time. As far as gas goes, 4 ounces in there, that it helps. I even see a little bump in fuel economy, but I can't prove that. It's maybe 2 or 3 tenths to a mile per gallon, but every little bit helps, right? Now, most of you guys watch my videos for not just automotive stuff, because I don't really do a whole lot of that, even though I am a mechanic, but I do a lot of small engine repair videos and small engine maintenance videos, and Marvel Mystery Oil is part of that too. What I tend to do with that is I make a little concoction. I got this old glass bottle here. It's an old pint, I think it was Southern Comfort, but it's from the old days, so it's glass, so it won't wear out. And what I'll do is I'll fill that about halfway with Marvel Mystery Oil, and then I'll add another quarter, and I use fuel stabilizer. And then the last quarter, I'll throw in some fuel injector cleaner. And I'll mix that up and I'll just set that on the shelf. And now, every time I fill up my tractor, which is a 5-gallon tank, or the smaller ones are, 2-gallon tanks, I'll add a few ounces, maybe an ounce or two of this mixture. And what I'm doing there is I'm adding fuel stabilizer, I'm adding injector or carburetor cleaner, and I'm adding a little bit of Marvel Mystery Oil to the mixture. Not a ton, not enough to damage anything, because you don't want to just pour a ton of this stuff in your gas or pour a ton of it in your oil. It's not designed for that. Just a little bit goes a long way. Now, as far as what kind of fuel injector cleaner I put in there, I try to always use 44K, which is a BG product. Not going to be something you find at Walmart or at a parts store. This is kind of a dealership only item or a shop part. It's good stuff, but you can run anything down to the cheapest stuff. This is Walmart's Super Tech gas treatment brand. They both have similar properties as far as cleaning. It's just to keep your bowl, and, your float and the jets on your carburetor clean. It's just a little help, and don't we all need a little help, right? So that's just what a concoction I make here. So I add about 50% Marvel, about 25% stabilizer, fuel stabilizer, and 25% gas treatment or fuel injector cleaner, which also works on carburetors, to a bottle like that, and I keep that on the shelf here. So that keeps things going. That's it. I just wanted to talk about Marvel Mystery Oil. It's kind of, it just amazes me. Some products, they come and they go. I mean, Slick 50, remember that one? Oh, God, there was like Teflon coated oil back in the 80s for a little while. There's all this fads that come and go, and usually they go because they either cause damage or they just don't work. When it comes to Marvel Mystery Oil, I think the amount of time it's been on the market must speak for itself, and my own personal experiences speak for themselves as well. So, for the price, and a whole quart of this costs $3.88 on Amazon. Maybe buy a quart, give it a try, and see if it works for you. I am Eric, owner of Farpoint Farms. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, there'll be more to come. I have some other chemicals that I'll be reviewing here shortly. 44K is one of them. And Berryman's B12 Chem Tool is definitely another one. Seafoam certainly works. It's not something I work and use with because it's pretty much the same thing as Marvel Mystery Oil. In fact, I think it's pretty much almost exactly the same as Marvel Mystery Oil. They can be used in exactly the same way. But that's for another day. Take care.